For years, Alice Cooper stayed completely silent about Marilyn Manson, even as the world kept speculating about what was really going on behind the scenes. But when he finally decided to speak out, what he revealed caught even longtime fans off guard. Instead of the predictable comments people expected, Alice described a transformation so drastic that it didn't sound like industry talk. It sounded like someone who had witnessed a before and after no one else had seen up close. And the way he put it raised a much bigger question. What really happened to Marilyn Manson during those missing years? Before Alice Cooper ever stepped into the picture, Marilyn Manson had already lived through one of the most chaotic stretches of his entire career. His projects were put on indefinite hold, his home was searched by authorities, and a string of lawsuits and accusations piled up so fast that even fans struggled to keep track. There was even that Northeast incident during a show that added another layer of trouble to an already heavy situation. For a while, it genuinely looked like Manson might disappear completely, not by choice, but because everything around him was collapsing at once. But that wasn't the end of the story, because right when things seemed to be settling into silence, something unexpected started happening behind the scenes. That shift became impossible to ignore once Marilyn Manson stepped back into the spotlight with a level of focus people hadn't seen from him in years. He'd been sober for more than 4 years, and the difference showed immediately. His live shows started earning strong reviews, his energy felt sharper, and his collaboration with Falling in Reverse on God as a Weapon turned into a major hit. Then came the comeback album One Assassination Under God, which pushed him straight back into full touring mode. Fans at festivals like Aftershock and Rockville began talking about how different he looked on stage, more controlled, more present, and far more locked in than before. And while many people noticed the change from a distance, one rock legend witnessed it up close, and what he saw completely shifted the narrative around Manson's return. That rock legend was Alice Cooper, and when he finally spoke about what he saw, he didn't sugarcoat a single detail. He described watching Manson take the stage and absolutely dominate it. Tight vocals, a razor-sharp band, and a level of control that Alice said he'd never seen from him before. What stood out wasn't just the performance, but the attitude behind it. Alice joked that Manson still looked sick and twisted on stage, but now it felt like a healthy version of that persona, not the chaotic, unpredictable presence he remembered from years past. Off stage, the difference was even more dramatic. Alice said Manson carried himself like a completely different spirit, someone who was clear-headed, grounded, and actually present in conversations. He admitted he never really understood Manson before, said the old version seemed like he was winging everything and operating in a fog he couldn't even explain himself. But now, Alice said, there was intention, stability, and a sense of identity that hadn't been there before. And coming from someone who has seen countless artists rise, fall, and rebuild, that kind of praise wasn't casual. It signaled a transformation far deeper than a simple career comeback. Alice didn't stop at describing the surface-level changes. He went deeper into what he believed was really happening with Manson on a personal level. He explained that most performers know exactly who they are the moment they step on stage, but offstage, it's a completely different battle. Some artists never figure out their real identity away from the lights, and Alice hinted that Manson had been one of them for years. According to him, Manson finally reached the point where every artist either grows or breaks, deciding who they're going to be when the show ends. Alice compared it to his own turning point after becoming Christian, saying that clarity didn't water down the performance, it just made him more in control of it. And that's exactly what he sees in Manson now. He said Manson looks healthier, sings better, and moves with a sense of purpose that was missing before. To Alice, this wasn't a temporary shift or a polished PR move. It was someone finally stepping into a version of themselves they hadn't been able to reach for years. Fans have been noticing the difference just as clearly as Alice Cooper did. At festivals like Aftershock, Sacramento, and Daytona Beach, people walked away saying Manson delivered some of the strongest sets of the entire weekend. The performances felt tighter, the vocals were sharper, and the energy on stage had a focus that longtime fans hadn't seen from him in years. Even those who were skeptical at first admitted the change was obvious the moment he walked out under the lights. Instead of the chaos that used to follow him everywhere, there was a sense of control and confidence that caught people off guard. And the more he performed, the more it felt like audiences were watching a completely new chapter unfold in real time. One that hinted this comeback wasn't just hype, but something much deeper taking shape behind the scenes. What makes Alice Cooper's comments even more striking is how rare they are. Rock legends don't usually step in and openly vouch for someone unless they've seen something real, something that goes beyond staged interviews or polished statements. Alice's honesty suggested that Manson's shift wasn't a temporary reset or a strategic image cleanup. It felt genuine, the kind of transformation that doesn't happen overnight. And the more Alice described it, the more it sounded like Manson had rebuilt himself from the inside out, not just as a performer, but as a person. It raised a bigger question that fans have been debating ever since. If someone who's seen every rise and fall in the rock world believes this change is authentic, what does that say about where Manson is headed next? All of this leaves the story at an unexpected turning point. For years, Marilyn Manson's name was surrounded by noise, confusion, and non-stop speculation. Now, the conversation has shifted into something entirely different. With Alice Cooper openly praising his growth, fans witnessing stronger performances, and a new level of stability surrounding him, it's clear this isn't the same Manson people remember from the chaos. It feels like someone rebuilding their life piece by piece, proving the change through actions instead of statements. And while no one knows exactly how far this new chapter will go, one thing is certain: the version of Manson that Alice Cooper saw and wasn't afraid to talk about has sparked a conversation that fans can't ignore. Alice Cooper's rare honesty has added a completely new layer to Marilyn Manson's story, turning a once uncertain future into something fans are now watching closely. With stronger performances, a clearer presence offstage, and a transformation witnessed by someone who's lived through decades of rock history, this chapter feels different, more grounded, more intentional, and undeniably real. Whether this marks a permanent turning point or just the beginning of an even bigger evolution, one thing is clear: Manson's journey isn't finished yet. And as more artists step forward with their own experiences, the picture of who he is today will only become sharper. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned, because this story is far from over.